So your reality is not separate from you, and it can only be who you are being right now in this moment.
So, if this is you, if you're pink right now, let's just say this is your old version, your reality can be nothing but that pink version of you only. And similarly, let's just say this is your new version, which is blue. That's who you are being right now. Your reality has no choice but to be just that, all right? It looks separate from you, but it's not separate from you.
Even if you're not seeing any evidence of that new assumed state of being yet, it's still true right now because the right people or your SP has already gotten the idea of that new state of being. Now that's already true. It's only taking its own time to prepare itself for the full blown manifestation. Now I will be talking more about time and space, how time, what does time mean, and why your 3D reality takes time and all of that in a very separate video. But now with that little context that I just gave you guys, now keeping that in mind, we're gonna look at what movement really is. Everything that counts as movement while you're shifting into the new version of yourself, while you're manifesting your desired goal. And then at the end, I will tell you how to deal with it. First one is you start to feel different about yourself. You start to feel this shift within you. All right, you know what I'm talking about. Once you correctly start doing your routines, you start feeling this inner shift. You start feeling different about yourself. All right, your perception, your assumptions about things and people in your reality slowly starts to change. All right, it's very natural, and the reason why it's happening is because you're daily focusing on that desired goal of yours, and you're also daily focusing on your self-concept as well. Especially if you're daily focusing on your self-concept, you're gonna see that your perception about the world around you is slowly gonna change. All right, very naturally, even if you're not specifically affirming for that. So if your perceptions are changing, obviously your thoughts are changing. Your perceptions are your thoughts start changing very slowly. You subtly or slowly start to see that your specific person or the amount of money or that job is not a big deal. All right, you all of a sudden just start to kick them off the pedestal. It happens, like it always happens with me, and especially when you're working on your self-concept, you're gonna see this change. You're gonna see that slowly you're not seeing them as a big deal. So you kind of start to feel above them almost, not in the sense that you're being mean to somebody, just that it's just this feeling of you feeling above that thing that you're trying to manifest. You also start to see people saying very specific things to you, which is perfectly aligned with that new version you're focusing on, that new self-concept of yours, or whatever desire it is you're trying to manifest. Suddenly you start to feel less obsessed about that thing or that person. And the reason that is happening is because if you're constantly working on your self-concept and you're really just building yourself up, you are gonna normalize them. And anything which is normal in our lives is not a big deal to us. We're not obsessed with it. So for instance, let's just say this phone. I'm not obsessed with it. I don't think about it all the time, all right? Because it's a normal thing in my life. Just like that, you're slowly gonna notice that you're less obsessed with them or that thing you're manifesting. The other thing you can notice is, which also counts as movement, is that people start to treat you really differently, especially if you're working on your self-concept as well, which is essential. You're gonna see that people all of a sudden they're just treating you differently, and it's new to you because obviously you're becoming this new person, so obviously that treatment is also really new to you. This other thing I've seen personally in my experience, I don't know if you have, you stumbling upon one of your affirmation written somewhere, all right, either written in a book, in an article, or anywhere. You're just stumbling upon that very specific affirmation that you've been using either for your self-concept or to manifest your desire. You're stumbling on that. It's already written somewhere. It's just that now you're just becoming aware more and more of what you're affirming now, and you're stumbling upon those specific affirmations. Like, it has happened with me quite a lot of time, and I always see it as a good sign that, okay, my routine is already working. When you're manifesting money or a job, you start to all of a sudden see a lot of opportunities everywhere. Like, everybody around you is coming up to you and asking you if you can work with them, all right? I've seen this with myself as well. Whenever I focus on either a specific amount of money or getting more freelance clients, all of a sudden start to get a lot of opportunities from everywhere. Even if I'm not really applying, even if I'm not really looking for them, they just start popping up. So that's a really good sign, and that just shows you that that's real movement right there. And when you're manifesting SP, you're a specific person, you're working on your self-concept, you all of a sudden start to get attention from a lot of people from the opposite sex, all right? That's movement right there, okay? That means that your self-concept, whatever you're doing for your self-concept, it's already working. And if you're imagining your person like chasing after you or you being in a relationship with them, everybody else around you can pick up on that. And when you're imagining that, when you're imagining you being in a relationship with your person, you're already imagining a version of yourself which is desired, loved, and chased after and stuff like that. And when you're feeling that about yourself, everybody else in your reality can also feel that. And that's the reason why you all of a sudden start to get so much attention from people around you. Movement, and you also start to see movement with your specific person, which is they all of a sudden start to like your pictures more, they all of a sudden start to show up more for you, they start to prioritize you, or if you are in no contact, they might reach out to you and stuff like that. That's good movement. But even if that is not there yet, it's okay. As long as you are feeling a shift within, you're feeling different about yourself, that also is a very good sign of movement. Because movement means what? Your reality is showing reflection of your new version, of the new version of yourself, and it doesn't have to be the same as everybody else because everybody is different. So never get disheartened just because you're not getting the same movement as somebody else is. It's just that they're different from you, all right? And you are a different person. Your self-concept is different, and the self-concept you are building is also different for you, all right? If you want me to create a separate video on why movement can look different for everybody, I can do that, but let's not focus on that right now, okay?
Now, all this movement just because you're transitioning from old to new, and your reality, as I said, can only be what you were being. So when you make a transition, the old self is also alive in you, and that's why you start to see reflection of this new version of yourself. But the full-blown manifestation might not be here yet, but it doesn't mean that you're not moving in the right direction. And that's why your reality looks like this. You have reflections from your old version and you have reflection from the new version that you're building right now.
But more often than not, people tend to get attached to these reflections while in this transition phase. And their focus moves from focusing on that main goal to getting more movement, because it's really exciting for that old version of yourself which is still alive in you, as I just showed you.
So attachment doesn't come from this new version of you. This doesn't get attached because for this version of yourself, that new thing is already normal. The version who gets attached to it and gets really excited is this version of yourself, this old version of yourself which is still present in you.
This old version of yourself is really excited about these reflections and movement because it's abnormal for this version of yourself, okay? It's abnormal to kind of receive all this attention, receive all this money. It's like giving a poor mindset person $1 million, all right? It's like just like that. That's why it's easier to get attached to it if you've still not completely shifted into that new state of being and it's not dominating yet. And I also just want to clarify that it's okay to be happy. It's okay to be excited if you're seeing movement in your reality while manifesting something. It just helps you in knowing that what you're doing is working, and it's really good. It's actually really good, but then because that actually keeps you going. I just want to mention that just because you're happy, it doesn't mean that you are your old version of yourself. But then how do you know if you are being, or if you are still in that old state of being or not? If right after doing your routine, your manifestation routine, you're actively on a lookout for signs and movement in your reality that shows that you're just attached to the movement rather than manifesting the main goal. Because here what you're doing is you're doing those routines just to get some movement, just to get that short-term dopamine rush because it's exciting for you, and probably because you're still dominantly existing in your old state of being. And now your brain has associated this meaning with your routine, that whenever I follow this routine, I see movement. So now what you're doing, you're just doing your routines and then actively you're on a lookout for movement in your reality. Then you might ask, why is this a problem if it's working, if it's giving me movement, and if I'm seeing reflections on this new version of myself, why is this such a big problem? As I just said, if right after your routine, you're actively on a lookout for signs, you're actively on a lookout for movement, that means that you're coming from the place of lack. Why? Because just look at anything you currently have, either money, your partner, some materialistic thing that you have. As I just showed you guys my phone, let's just say I have this phone. Am I looking for movement, oh, just to see if I have this phone or not, or I just have this phone with me right now. I just have it, right? I'm not out there looking for movement just to make sure that I have this phone. I hope this is making sense, all right? So if you are on the lookout for movement and signs, that just shows that you're not sure, first of all, that this thing or this desire is going to manifest, and you're not sure within yourself as well as the source. These are some tiny things we do that really just slows down the process of shifting. Looking for movement is you indirectly affirming to yourself that this version of myself is not true yet, or this desire is not going to happen for me, or I don't have this desire, or I might not end up having this desire. That's what you're really indirectly affirming to yourself when you look for movement, when you look for sign, and when you follow your routines just to see some movement in your reality. Imagine doing that right after following a very perfect manifestation routine. Imagine looking for movement and indirectly affirming to yourself, this isn't true, this is not going to happen, I don't think I have it, I don't think I can have it, right after a perfect manifestation routine. Imagine doing that, and then you guys ask, oh, I wonder why it's not here. Obviously it's not here. There are tiny little things you're doing in your reality which are literally just indirectly affirming things which are more believable than this new version of yourself. All right, you, let's just say, manifesting $100,000, you believing in that versus you believing you don't have it right now. What do you think, which one of these thoughts are gonna win in your head if you're coming from a very limited space or very limited belief system? Obviously the one which says, I don't have it yet and I don't think I can have it yet. All right, so this is more believable. And these tiny things, when you do these tiny little things in your reality, I'm not saying that they're gonna stop you from having what you want, because if you're persisting, this thought is obviously just gonna go away. It's just that it slows down the process for you. And that's why you keep asking, why is it taking too long? Because you are doing stupid things in your reality, which are indirectly just you affirming in contradiction of your desire, if that makes any sense. So to summarize, movement is anything which reminds you of your new self-concept and the desire you're manifesting. Anything that comes under that is movement. Even if you're feeling differently, feeling good about yourself is movement, all right? Now, how to deal with it? It's simply just keep on reminding yourself of your desire, that this desire is what I'm looking for. I'm happy movement is here. I'm really happy and excited. Obviously, this is telling me that what I'm doing is correct. I'm doing it correctly. But at the same time, remind yourself that, you know what, I still want my main goal, my main desire. Just saying that is gonna distract you from movement, and that is just gonna build you up more and more. Secondly, if you are finding yourself to be a little too attached to movement, it's okay, as long as you're genuinely persisting in your manifestation routines. That is eventually going to fade away, because you are eventually going to shift into the new state of being, which doesn't give a flying fuck about movement. All right, the new version of yourself gets the full manifestation and they don't give a flying fuck about movement. All right, so even if you find yourself being a little too attached, don't worry, just keep on persisting with your routine. If there are some things you're doing in your reality just because you got so used to this instant dopamine rush from seeing reflections in movements, that now you are on purpose trying to seek attention, trying to create movement. An example can be, let's just say you're trying to manifest your SPay and you saw that they liked your story or stuff like that, and then you all of a sudden now you want to post more and more of your stories just because you get that little dopamine rush from them liking your story. I hope this makes sense. That's what I'm talking about, these short-term dopamine rush, which makes you want more and more of these short-term dopamine rushes. And now you're not just doing your manifestation routine to see more movement, you are actively in your reality doing stuff to create those little tiny reflections, to create those little tiny movements. All right, there are things like that you are doing in your reality. I would recommend stop doing those. Stop taking any physical action to make something happen right now just because you want some movement in your reality. The only action you need to take is the mental action, and every other action will come very naturally through you. So any action which feels like, oh, it feels like I'm trying to make something happen, you know when you're doing that, don't do it. Please don't do it, all right? You're literally still just very indirectly affirming to yourself, I don't have it. So all in all, how you deal with movement is when it's there, be happy, be excited, but also just just remind yourself that, oh, I do not fall for breadcrumbs. Oh, I'm more than this. I will receive my full blown manifestation. All right, it's good. It's working. It's already working. I'm happy. But yeah, this ain't no big deal. You know, just normalizing the movement itself. This ain't no big deal. And reminding yourself of that new version of yourself right then and there. Just so that you're normalizing movement and not really getting too attached or too obsessively happy because of it. But you'll have to verbally remind yourself of those things while you see movement, and especially if you see yourself getting too attached to it. All right, that's just simply how you deal with it. That's just simply how you make sure that you're not making a big deal out of it, just saying, oh, it's not a big deal, right? That's how you also very indirectly normalize your desire as well. That's how you also very indirectly normalize a new version of yourself, right? Just by doing that. So that's all you needed to know about movement. Trust me, you don't need any other video. If you watch this one, you're clear about what movement is and how to deal with it. If there is no physical movement in your reality, should you be worried? Absolutely not. As I said, as long as you are feeling it within, feeling a shift, the thoughts are changing, your perceptions are changing, that is good enough, because everybody's different. You might not get the same movement as I am getting, and there's a reason behind it, which I will tell you guys in a separate video. This video is already long, but just know that everybody's different. The number one thing you need to notice is, are you feeling different? Are your thoughts changing? Are your perceptions changing? Are you putting them off the pedestal? That all counts as movement. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in my next video.